last speaker, but not the least, is Engineer Nikeel Idnani, Honorary Secretary of the Institute of Marine Engineers, Science and Technology, UAE branch. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Ali. One bounce, not so bad. What's your good name, sir, and where are you from? Pardon? What you holding in your hand?
It's Nilesh from Asyad Shipping, Oman. I'm holding the globe, the earth.
You're holding
the world in my hand, which is stressed.
You're holding the earth in your hands.
Yeah, the world, which is pretty stressed, and it is stress ball.
You're holding the earth in your hands, and you can make the changes that are necessary.
True.
In the game of tennis, you can't control the balls that you're served, but you can certainly control the way you play the game. Speaking of balls that are served, then ship owners and operators have these regulations which have been served to them. And of course, the EEXI and CII are the regulations adopted by the IMO. And both of them in common have energy efficiency technologies which the IMO has suggested in order to comply with the regulations. We heard a nice presentation from, a detailed presentation from Catherine, so I wouldn't go into all those details. But she's disappeared, but it was June who said the winner of the Maritime Standard Conference should be Mother Earth. So we have all these energy efficiency technologies which are available for ship owners and operators to make use of. Some of these energy efficiency devices or technologies are universally and very clearly they yield savings. But there are some which are sort of, they need to be studied a little more closely on a case-to-case basis, on a ship-specific basis in order to determine their applicability. What is indisputable is the fact that antifouling paints, which are on the hull of a vessel, is very critical. The hull moves through water, and there is no doubt, it is indisputable. It's not to be or not to be, it is to be, that the hull must be as smooth as possible so that the engine has to produce optimum power to drive the vessel at a particular speed. There were, in June's presentation and Rajiv's presentation, the figure was between 5 and 25% for savings. We are going a little easy, just going at 6% for anti-fouling paints. And to go a little more into detail, silicon-based anti-fouling paints, technically called fouling release coatings, yield the best possible return on investment. And 9 months is a typical period. So, what are the types of anti-fouling paints available? Essentially 3. Let's look at each of them. A standard conventional fouling, anti-fouling paint, the self-polishing anti-fouling paint. Fit for purpose, class approved, no problem. But if you want to get savings, you want to save fuel and save CO2 emissions, and there are premium anti-fouling paints. Furthermore, there are ultra-premium anti-fouling paints, and silicon-based coatings is one of them. Of course, 1, 2, 3, price increases, but so does the smoothness, so does the performance. Now, what are the factors involved in selecting an anti-fouling paints? Commercial and technical. Very simply, I put these into 2 categories. fuel consumption. That is on everybody's mind. That has to be studied on which of these antifoulings yield fuel savings. Availability, it's becoming more of an issue because of the environment. The contents of antifouling paints are typically, some antifouling paints are not allowed in Europe. So what might be available in Dubai or in the Chinese shipyards are not available in Turkey, for example. And it's not only so much what the cost is, but what is the return on investment. And that's what there was an ROI of 9 months in the previous slide, which I was giving as a typical number for a silicon-based antifouling paint. In the technical part, in the previous slide, there is no choice. A ship owner has to comply with regulations. So there has to be a paint which is class approved, type approved. Proven performance. Not only is what the paint, new paints should be based on existing technology which is improved. So the ship owner shouldn't be the guinea pig here, but if there is a new product which has been launched, then it should be based on a robust technology which has been proven. Speed loss, another critical factor, because that's what guarantees are based on. A typical high-level silicon-based antifouling paint would give you a 1% speed loss. When I say 1%, it is 1% over the course of 5 years. And taking a 2 dry docking cycle for a less than 15-year-old vessel is typically the way you analyze the performance and the costs and the ROIs related to an antifouling paint. And ease of application. There are newer methods to reduce wastage, to shorten your time, because time is money in dry dock. These are the factors that, in brief, are necessary to really the basic factors that to be looked at when selecting an antifouling paint. Here is my last slide. I was given between 5 and 7 minutes. This is a typical case, a real case of a VLCC with a silicon antifouling paint. This is from PPG, the largest paint manufacturer in the world. And there was an 18% power saving, as you can see in the graph. So the graph is on the y-axis is the power, the main engine power needed to propel the ship at a particular speed. The blue graph is the silicon-based paint, and the graph which is higher is the standard. I told you there are 3 types of antifouling paints. So you can clearly see at a level of, let's say, 14 knots, you're going to, the silicon-based paint is about 17,500 kilowatts. But a standard antifouling would be 22,000 kilowatts, which means for the silicon-based paint, savings in fuel, and savings in fuel results in savings in emissions. Thank you, Maritime Standard, for giving me the opportunity to make this short presentation.